There we go. You can hear me now. Welcome to BCB Live. We're the safest station in the nation. Happy Friday to you. How's your Friday going on? What are you doing today? You know, different than you did, say, 6 months ago when freight was a blustering, when as a trucking company, as a broker, you know what? It was all about the money. Show me the dollars. What's the difference in the last 6 months? You know, I was talking to some trucking companies yesterday, and I spent a good deal of my day getting the feel of what's going on in today's market. And the sector that I'm going to speak about is that dry van reefer side. And my God, you know, let's hit reefers first. Boy, has that market just not come back since we've seen the diesel since March, right? Since everything started going down. That reefer went way down, that reefer shipments did, and it hadn't came back yet. And you know what? We spent so much time talking freight, and we still look at freight compared to today versus, say, before last year. Well, reefer's not quite the same thing. It's actually a little, you know, there's a lot of periods before COVID that reefer today's volume is much less. The dry van sector, about the exact opposite. Yes, it's down from 3 months ago, 6 months ago, but still relatively very high compared to historical data. The difference, you know, it's the mindset. And you know what? And so some thoughts that I have around that. Expect trucking companies. You should expect a larger turnover today in your owner-operator market versus what maybe you've had not last year. Again, last year, throw last year away, say versus the beginning of 2020, 19, 18. A larger turnover. And you're saying why? Well, because independent contractors, they're looking at the lanes they're pulling today. They're looking at those lanes, and again, the larger the company, less turnover. The smaller the company, significantly more turnover. But they're looking at the rates today compared to what they were 3 months ago. I'm talking as soon as January, as early as January, February, really not even a year ago. And they're saying, well, what's going on? How come my rates, why am I pulling the same load for $1.30 less a mile? The larger the company, so let's just talk those that are leased on to, say, a J.B. Hunt, Swift, a large trucking company. They don't feel the same pain. Why? Well, because those companies, they have contracted rates. So their rates are significantly higher than you that are pulling for a smaller company and getting that percent pay of less money, that they're going out to that spot market. And we've seen the spot market pricing going down. And those independent contractors, they're leaving. They're going somewhere else. And they're going to experience the same pain until eventually they realize that, you know what, this is just the market. Or they go out of business. Trucking companies. I also wonder about this as well. What are we doing on the trucking side? Are you trying so hard to keep your fleet intact, right? Trying to grow your fleet, when perhaps this still isn't the market to grow your fleet in. Why would you want to grow? And I know there's an answer for everything. Let's just say that, you have a huge customer base. Well, why would you want to grow that on the percentage pay if you could get away with brokering it out as a power only? You don't have the liability of the independent contractor. Those rates are probably better than that percent you would pay an owner-operator just to have the pleasure of growing your fleet. What are you doing to make business sense? Profit and profitable sense. I've seen so many companies, you read about these companies that are so focused on growing these trucks that are making percent pay of this trucking company's customers. And I'm saying is that, man, if you could take that and maybe throw it over here to the brokerage market, where they're running power only, running under their own authority, especially if those trucking, that independent contractor fleet, your company fleet is having safety issues. Well, why not take that and move it out for a minute? Still right size your fleet. And people may come back and say, well, Rick, you know what? Last year was the year to right size that fleet. Last year, those same trucks were going for $30,000 more a truck. I'm still saying, look at what you have. The used truck market, even today, is higher than it's ever been other than the last year, right? Other than, say, 6 months ago. What are you actually doing to make business decisions around your thing? Are you just growing your fleet to grow it? Do you know your metrics? Do you know your numbers? Do you know the difference between a loaded mile versus percentage paid mile? Why would you bring somebody in on that percentage side if you can broker that same load out for the same dollar or less and not have that liability? You still have the tracking. You still have the training. There's still technology out there that will tell your customer where that load is. Find different ways. Use your data, and data is tough to manage still. All right, here we go. So it's Friday. You know, a little bit of news going on. We had producers, you see, we had, what's her name, Brianna, or, she did get 9 years.
Yeah, Brittany Griner.
Brittany, there you go. Brittany, 9 years prison. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, she broke the law.
Do the crime, do the time?
Yeah, it's Russia. You got to know what if you're going to be dumb enough to break a law like that in a communist country like Russia, you got to understand that.
And it wasn't her first time there. She's been playing there too, right?
Yeah, so she'd probably been getting away with it. They probably knew that, and so that probably weighed into it also.
Yeah, and I'll also go and say, if you go back and you look, let's face it, we do know America's trying to negotiate a arms, the U.S. has like an arms person in jail. We're going to trade this person for her and a player to be named later. There's like two people over. There's a journalist, I think, and her in Russia prison.
Yeah, it's an arms dealer that's responsible for, I think, like 1 million world deaths.
Yeah, it doesn't seem quite the same thing. But for her to get the 9 years, one other thought process is that, she had to get sentenced for this deal to happen. So it's probably not 9 years. It's just a number. She didn't seem overly concerned about it. I'm going to say that. It was 9 years. I think you would just break down and cry. She gave more of the stare. But I do believe she was also told that, hey, listen, it's going to be quick. We got to get that sentencing done so we can begin the trade. So we see a lot of trades. As a trade deadline happened in baseball, we see a trade deadline happening right here between the arms dealer and a sports person, and who's the other person that they're going to trade for? It's like is it a journalist or something like that that's in Russia?
Yeah, it's someone that's actually been there for a really long time. But I think the funniest part about this whole thing, which is not really that funny, but ESPN's been reporting on it like it's a NBA trade deadline, seriously. And so everybody's been Twitter has been the funniest place to look at it because it'll be breaking news. People are thinking it's somebody maybe the Mavs are trading for somebody or whatever, and it's
No, I get that. I get that alert on my phone all the time. It comes across. Oh, here's the latest story. But it is. That's what I'm saying. You have a trade right here. You have the arms dealer that we're going to trade for Brittany and a player to be named later. And that's the journalist, right? That's out there. So interesting to see how this all works out. There's also news. A hiker. I don't know if you saw that or not, producer. But the hiker, her, a friend, and I think her dog are out hiking. They get, and it's up in Montana. Yep. There's a bison, way away though. It's not like she went in front of the bison and got close to take pictures of it. She walked down the hill, the bison about 100 yards away, sees her, and runs at her and stops right in front of her, gives her the old sniff thing or whatever that is, and then reaches down and grabs her and throws her in the air, spikes her in her leg. Somehow she makes it. She's alive, and she made it back home. Her friend was somehow able to scare her to get the bison away. I don't know how you do that. I mean, those things are huge.
Yeah, one of my good buddies actually, they have a farm, and they used to have 2 bison. They only have 1 now, but it is the scariest thing I've ever seen in my life in person because it's about the size of an F-150, and then you even stick your fingers through the fence at all, and it will literally charge and hit that fence so hard it almost takes the whole fence line down.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nuts. And
well, the thing stopped at it, and I'm thinking at that point, I mean, do you pet it? Like, I'm thinking, honest to God, if I'm her at that moment, I'm pretty much helpless. I'm doing the old Yoda thing, or was that the old Jedi trick?
Yeah, the mind
You
trick.
will walk away. You don't want me. I'm trying the mind tricks because it's done. I have no other choice. And what's up with my dog? I thought dogs were supposed to be heroes during this period. Didn't you ever dog with her?
Yeah.
I mean, where's my dog? That dog is gone.
Well, no.
The dog's going to the shelter. The dog should have taken the hit, not me. That's all I got to say.
Well, just from the look, she probably had some little rat dog that probably stood about 10 feet behind her, barking at it, doing nothing. So
I'm saying, I don't know, man. I'm doing. That dog's got to step up. That's what they're for. There's movies written about this. I mean, that dog had a chance to have a movie written about him, and now he blew it. He blew it.
My dog actually, a couple nights ago, was out in the backyard about 11:30 barking her head off, and we went out there, and she had cornered a big old copperhead in the corner of my backyard. And so we went back there. My dad made me and my brother take the shovels to kill it, and he stood from a distance with a flashlight. And then we had to go in, and I missed my first shot, and it came at me. So I took off running. So me and my brother took off running, left my dad there in the middle of the yard. Then it kind of settled right there in the middle, and so I went over and cut its head off.
Copperhead or rat snake?
It was a copperhead.
Come on now. Copperhead's a better story, but let's be honest. What was it?
It was a copperhead. We actually have a big, because we have the neighborhood water drainage runoff thing in my backyard, and so they'll slither up out of that thing. And so we used to have a bunch of rat snakes, and then probably about 10 years ago, we actually had one on the wrought iron of our front door. It was coiled up.
Ooh.
It was about 6 foot long rat snake, and so we had to kill that.
I hate snakes.
Oh, I cannot stand them.
Hate them. I'm scared of them. I don't care if it's we had a snake in here one time in the office. Yeah, and I had to go out and get Daryl Shipman. Thank you, he's my hero. One of our, the driver came in and saved my life from this garter snake or rat snake. I don't know what it is. I swear it was. This thing was I think it had like the little beads on the end. I think it was a rattler snake. Maybe missing two. That thing, I was done, petrified. But it was the same color as our carpet.
Yeah, I genuinely would rather have a rattlesnake sitting there instead of a rat snake, because rattlesnakes are really hesitant to bite you. Rat snakes, they'll come at you. They're aggressive.
Yeah, but if you got bit by either, wouldn't you?
I'd rather get
if you had
bit
your
by a
choice
rat
of which
snake.
one you're going to get bit by, it'd be the rat snake, right?
Yeah.
All right. Hey, listen, we have Raquel Packett's coming up next. This is BCB Live. We're the safest station in the nation, and we have a returning guest once again coming up next in about 60 seconds.
This segment has been brought to you by Utility ProWear. Utility ProWear manufactures high-quality, ANSI-certified, high-visibility apparel for both men and women. Infused with the Teflon fabric protector, Utility ProWear affords the wearer durable clothing with a great fit to afford the highest degree of safety. Get your high-visibility apparel by going to utilityproware.com. Use the code BCB20 at checkout for an exclusive discount.
And welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. We're joined with Raquel Packett's from Zen Freight, Trucker Tools, right? Trucker Talks, Trucker Talks. How you doing, Raquel?
Oh, it's lovely Friday. Thank you so much for having me back on.
You know what? It's my pleasure. And so, Raquel, I don't know if you heard the story or not, but I see that you do a lot of walking, a lot of hiking. What would you do if you saw that bison?
Oh my gosh, I was sitting here laughing because I don't know what I would do. I would run for the nearest tree, I think. I don't know.
I know. And do you have a dog?
I do, and he's pretty protective. So my dog's big. He's a bigger dog.
Isn't it the dog? I mean, you watch movies on this, and that's what you're born to do, dog, is to step in and take the hit so I don't have to take it. I'm just saying, I'm questioning my dog right now if I'm her.
Yeah, I agree, but I don't know. Those things are huge. They're big.
Have you been out there in that area, Montana, Colorado, and seen them? live?
I have. I've been at the national park in North Dakota, and there were bison that just walked right up to our car. Super cool, but I was not getting out of the car.
All right, so give me craziest thing that's ever happened to you out on a hike.
We came upon a moose in Colorado, and that's scary because they can be aggressive and they can turn at any time. So we kind of just turned around and walked the other way.
So I've never seen one of them live. I've been up in Maine and I've heard the stories. Those things are just, I mean, they're like unbelievably big, right?
They are. They're like taller than a horse. And horses are big to me, so they're huge.
No, I'm right with you, and I'm scared of horses too. So, yeah, I'm not a big hiker out there. My son, I'll give my son, he's out there. He's been at Glacier Park. He's now at Yellowstone. He does that for the summertime, does these hikes. He just hiked up like the tallest mountain there in Colorado, took pictures of it. Just, you know, and he's, you know, he works for the Parks Department, so he normally is the guy, you know, he's Mr. Parks Department, so he's like, I have no patience for people. If they get hit by a moose, they deserve to get it. I'm like, dude, come on. Because they always did something wrong. You know, they shouldn't have been there. We're in their area, we're in their town, and the animals thing. So we the humans get blamed in his eyes all the time. All right, let's talk a little Zen Freight first. What's going on in that flatbed market today?
Well, it's just like you were saying, you know, things are a little bit quieter than they have been for the past 6 months, but that doesn't mean there's nothing. It's just the same. It's a matter of where are your contracts, where are the consistencies, and you do have to bring your prices down to win anything in the spot market right now, but it's still there, and we're still kicking.
Yeah, and I tell people all the time is you just can't really just don't live in last year. That was kind of a fluke year. But if you go back to 2019, 18, 17, 16, rates today are still higher than they were back in those days. Unfortunately, we have fuel, but that's come down, and that's probably helped you a little bit as well, right, with fuel pricing coming down?
Definitely. I think we're down to $4.15 here in the Northeast for gas. I haven't checked diesel, but yeah, I mean, it's starting to come back down, and I'm starting to see prices come down with drivers as well. It's just they have to understand there's not as much demand, right?
There's not, for sure. Now, I have heard and read that, you know, we expect, you know, like right now happening is a big push in that oil and gas market to take advantage of the, you know, of the price and where it is today. And that diesel, that sweet spot, that money making in diesel area, well, that's still a couple months away. We're not in its own peak season yet. That's October-ish, something like that. So a lot of the people in the oil and gas expect that to kind of take a little upside swing on that. Probably not bad news for you, right?
Not at all. That's the same news I was hearing when I was in Texas in May. You know, everyone said everything's on order. It's just on back order. So it should be coming September, October. So you're right on the money there. Yeah,
you know what? Have you heard a bigger, back order, national back order? Is there a phrase used more that, you know, it's almost like the trucking company saying I'm broke down. You don't even know if it's true anymore, right?
I know. It's crazy. I have people telling me that they've ordered things and they're like 18 months out.
It's insane.
Before it will be here. That's just crazy to me.
Yeah, it is insane. And so I was talking to, we check in with the folks at Kenworth, really involved with two of our big contacts, and we see what's going on in the market. They're still way behind on getting trucks produced. They're bringing trucks out to places. You know, we've heard about the chips, you know, the technology, just there's shortage on the chips. They're sending out trucks without all the safety components. That's happening today. But they're also delivering trucks without, and I know we don't need it most of the time, but without seats in that passenger side because they don't have them. I mean, they say the parts are still crazy behind producing vehicles that they're delivering. You're paying full price but not getting a full truck. So it's real and it's crazy out there.
That is wild. I mean, what if your dog wants to sit on the seat beside you, right?
Thank you. Yeah, I know. I don't know it doesn't even seem right. And then you think about the logistics of getting that truck back to get the chips put back in it, to get that seat put back in it. When it happens, it costs that company more money to get it all done, make it happen. And from a safety perspective, and again, that's what we're about. We're producing trucks today across all markets. Not just Volvo, Freightliner, we're talking Kenworth, International, it doesn't matter, that are running today. I'm talking a brand new truck that has the capability to have all of these safety suites, these safety features. And Raquel, because of that chip shortage, they're running out there without any of these things because they don't have a choice. They can't get the chips in.
That's wild.
Isn't that wild?
I just would think that we would switch to manufacturing here in the United States, but I know that we don't have people to work here. So.
Yeah, where are they at, right? I mean, we see the same thing. It's not just a trucking industry shortage. It's a labor shortage across everything we see. All right, let's talk trucker talks, all right? Tell me a little bit about that, because when you were on the show last time, you were Raquel Zen Freight. I ran across you in Iowa, and here you are. You're doing your podcast, and you got your husband, and he's carrying this camera, sweating to death. That poor guy. God rest his. You were too, though. It was a little humid out there. But talk to me about the podcast. What's it about, and how's it going?
Sure. So it's Trucker Talks Live. It's all about bringing a platform for drivers to really tell their stories of good, bad, indifferent, and just to get the word out there, what it means to be a driver and what it's like on the road. My biggest goal is to somehow influence this industry and bring more drivers into transportation, whether that's male or female, whoever. We just want more people to understand what it is and to realize that it's really a legacy to have a trucking company and to be in this environment.
So talk to me. So how long has the podcast been going?
We have produced 2 episodes so far. I have a few more that we've already recorded. But, there's some challenges in producing a podcast.
All right, so talk to us, because there's a lot of people out there that are thinking about doing it. A lot of people have jumped into it. Hey, what are those challenges for those people out there that are thinking about opening up and doing their own podcast?
Yeah, learning how to edit, how to remove sound from a video is a challenge on its own. And then figuring out what tools to use. I didn't know what an RSS feed was. I had to do a lot of research and trying to figure out, where do you put it online and how does it all work? There's a big learning curve, but luckily my husband and I like to call ourselves super learners. We'll learn anything. You just got to find out where to find it.
And you know what, you must have a passion, because when you're out there, let's just take Iowa, for example, you've got to have the courage to go up and talk to people, cold. It's kind of like a cold call in sales. You've got to go make yourself vulnerable to these folks and say, hey, can I talk to you about this? How has that been? I mean, has that ever been an issue for you or for another podcaster? Let's kind of talk to them about, some of these things, because it really is kind of a cold call business as well when you're setting these interviews up.
Oh, it definitely is. It's taken me a long time. If you go back 2 years ago, when I got on camera, I was super scared, shaking all the time. But I've been practicing. Practice makes you better. I won't say perfect. And I've talked to drivers on the phone for 13 years now. So Truckers are like my friends. They're not scary to me. Making a cold call to a customer for business, that's a little scary, but connecting with a driver and understanding their business and their livelihood is fuel to me. It's a passion of mine.
So you're talking about a podcast that's maybe brings in more drivers to our industry. Let's talk about that for a minute, because there's some things in our industry that really need to be fixed that will bring in or attract more drivers in it. When you talk to drivers out there, I mean, what are some of the maybe the hints that our industry needs to listen to allow more drivers to want to come into our area? What are struggles, I guess, that when you talk to drivers that, my God, we're talking parking, pay or whatever that is, what do you hear most from drivers that we as an industry must address?
So the number one thing everyone told me, mostly at the Walcott show, was that it's getting harder to get into the industry. They're making so many rules and regulations. So I feel like we just really need to help drivers in overcoming those obstacles and getting into the industry. On top of that, it's a safety issue as far as in training. If we're trying to get women into the industry and you only have male trainers, that's really hard to go over the road. So I think we just need to bring some light to all of these problems. And another big one of mine, and I hear this all the time, is eating healthy on the road. There's nothing good at truck stops. I know, I travel all over the country. It's very unfortunate, but I hope maybe we can get the word out there.
Yeah, and great point on that. And, that eating, and while you can find it or you can eat healthier than you could, it's also a lot more expensive, right, to try to eat healthy at the truck stop versus going to McDonald's or whatever else is out there at the Sonic that's there, all of those things. But you bring up a great point, and that's, say, that the male-dominated, the training. Well, if you want a woman in there, you got to have women trainers to go over the road with as well. What about are you hearing anything from the drivers or even from, say, the vendors, the truck stops, the shippers? They as well have got to change how they do things, blocking off bathrooms, no drivers allowed, at shippers or receivers. We still see those signs, porta potties out front. What are some of the drivers or customers or vendors that you talk to? What are some suggestions they have for these folks, to make it more user friendly for, number one, let's just talk women first, and then for drivers in general?
I haven't found anyone with a solution yet. I'm still hearing all the problems. but those are major ones. I think across the board, drivers don't get the respect that they deserve. And that's my goal with Trucker Talks Live, is really to show, we're all human and we're doing the best that we can with what we've got. And sometimes we need to adjust and change things in the industry.
Yeah, and so you hear the same thing I hear, and that is there are no solutions. Yet we all hear what the issues are. You're hearing it, I'm hearing it. I bet you if we take all these podcasters, all these trucking companies, we put all of these issues together, I bet we all have the same top 5.
Oh,
and
100%.
That, Raquel, now here we go. How do we take those same top 5 and put an action item in it to get these things addressed to attract more drivers to our industry? Any thoughts on that?
I think it really is going to come down to the individual companies. And as companies start to stand out as the ones that treat their employees or their drivers or their vendors better, they're going to continue to get the better service and continue to have more growth compared to the ones like companies that I know that drivers go and sit at for 16 plus hours to get loaded. They're going to continue to have a hard time getting drivers to come in there if they continue to treat them that way.
Yeah, and those are the ones, right? Those long detention, those long wait periods for any driver. I mean, we are costing them not only money, but we're making them less safe because now we're messing with the rest periods. All of these things, and let me tell you something, we've got to find a way to address those with the shippers, receivers, the trucking companies that aren't taking care of their drivers as well. That way, it's something that we have to make sure that we work on together as an industry. All right, you brought it up earlier, and I want to go back to it. You're talking about your husband, John, and he travels with you. Y'all do this show together. All right, that's husband and wife. Talk to me. Is that heaven working with your husband all the time? Is there any challenges with that?
Oh, there's a ton of challenges. We worked separately for the first 11 years of our relationship. So just the past 3 have we been side by side, and there are definitely challenges. You know, we have different outlooks on things quite a lot, and you know, sometimes you got to have a little fight in order to resolve it. But overall, he's very supportive, and he loves watching us grow as a company, and is always there to help me along. So I recommend it if you can push through the hard stuff.
Yeah, right. You got to, and you have to be willing to address it, because if you don't address it, I mean, so let me ask you this: podcast, when you're doing your podcast, has it ever happened where that fight, that argument, because it is your spouse, and, you know, did it affect, you know, how the interview went? Was he not filming you, or did he turn your microphone off because he was mad at you, or anything like that?
No, but I will say at the Walcott show, we had a lengthy driver that just wanted to chat, which you get those, and he was trying to stand still, and it was the hardest thing for him because he was just trying to hold the camera still. So we got a stand for him now, so he doesn't have to hold it.
Oh, God bless you. I saw him out there holding that thing too, and I'm like, those things, and you know, kudos to those guys. I bet you they have muscles in some places that they never thought they'd have before, because those cameras are kind of heavy and awkward.
They are, and there's so much to learn. It's so technical. That's not my forte. He's a super learner. He'll figure it all out for me.
Awesome. That is cool. Hey, Raquel, as we close out this, how do our listeners, or how do listeners in general, how do they find you, and what's the best way for them to get on and listen to your podcast? If they want to find freight, what's the best way for them to find some of that flatbed freight from you as well?
Sure. So I have a website called Trucker Talks Live, and if you're interested in coming on and chatting with me, you can go on and fill out a form, and we can line that up nice and easy. And for Zen Freight Solutions, it's also stressfreeshipping.us. It's all about communication, and as long as we're openly communicating, I feel that everything goes well.
All right, well, hold on a second. Stress-free shipping, is there really such a thing?
Well, I believe that there can be. I think that's my goal, right? That's why my company is Zen Freight Solutions, to reduce the stress of everyone, for drivers, for customers, and for myself, because it's all about how you communicate and set things up.
All right. Hey, Raquel, I want to thank you so much again for being on BCB Live. Before we get out of here, though, you've got to state your name, who you're with, and you can list all the different companies you're with, but then you end it with, you've been watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This is Raquel Packets with Zen Freight Solutions and Trucker Talks Live, and you're watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
All right, Miss Raquel, thank you so much. Y'all stay safe. I'm sure I'll run into you in one of these other the new show or something like that. Hey, where are you going to be at next with the podcast?
Oh, I'm not quite sure, but I will be in Texas in October. So I'll try to stop in and make an event, a live event.
Yeah, for sure. Don't we have Women in Trucking, I think, in November here. We have the McLeod Trucker Conference coming up, I think, in November. Conferences everywhere. They've been, and I know we're trying to get out of here, but those shows that you've gone to, I mean, they've been really well attended, you know, especially post-COVID.
They really have. There's been more and more people. I think the Walcott show was bigger than the Kentucky show that I was at. And I think that's super cool. I love seeing the camaraderie and more people coming together. So I look forward to attending more shows in the future. All
right, Raquel, be safe out there. And if you go hiking, stay away from the bison. That's all I got to say. Stay away from the bison, or start talking to your dog today about, hey, the hit that he or she's going to have to take if this comes across. I'm just saying, you know, that's their job. Anyway, I'm just kidding. Raquel, have a great day, okay?
All right. Thanks, Rick. Have a good one.
Yes, ma'am. All right. You've been watching BCB Live. We're the safest station in the nation. Normally it's Double Check Dale, but today we have Buckle Up Bob sporting his Cardinal shirt. And by the way, for those of you that don't know, they are facing a 3-game series loss against the Yankees this weekend. All of that coming up next on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. You're watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. BCB Live covers freight. Here we are now at 21% of record freight being rejected. News down in Texas. We're going to talk a little bit about this. We had another $1.5 million seizure. If ever there's a time to do a pre or post trip, it's if you're doing something wrong. Weather, traffic.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to some traffic and weather with Buckle Up Bob. You can kind of see where the visibility can be compromised a little bit. Again, right where that rain is.
And most importantly, safety. One of the things that we must do is make sure that safety is the number one thing that we focus on.
Going into an intersection yellow is not the way. That's to clear an intersection, not to enter an intersection.
Tune in weekdays from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. You can watch BCB Live through LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe today and follow BCB Live.
All right. Hey, good morning. As Sir Rick alluded to, I am wearing my Cardinal jersey, and this is for, I hope he's on, Brian Winsauer, because the Cardinals just swept his beloved Cubbies in a 3-game series in St. Louis. So that's kind of what I did it for. And then, yes, Sir Rick said we've got a big one against the Yankees. All I know is Sir Rick better be off Monday if the Cardinals win 2 out of 3, because we will let him know about that. So, hey, everybody, we're going to get you started off with a little bit of weather. You know, that system yesterday, it's still the same line. The same people are getting the rain. It is just crazy. It's like the same people keep getting the heat. The areas that need the rain aren't getting it, and now everything's flooding. So, again, it's from Memphis, Tennessee there, all the way up into Lexington, Kentucky. It has shifted a little bit southward, so maybe a few more areas get rain, but I know Tennessee and Kentucky have been getting it for about a week off and on. So, again, they're getting it as well. Same out here. You got some a little system out here that stretches from Idaho all the way down to near Los Angeles, kind of curves around. So, Nevada, California, Idaho could see some rain today as well in some scattered areas. The forecast. So we're going to kind of go out here a little bit, and you're going to see the north or the south and the eastern quadrant really pick up a little bit of options here. So at 1 p.m., you can see this system still out here popping up some showers, but then you can see the whole basically. Here from the Mississippi River east, you're going to see a good chance of some showers, as well as Arkansas and Louisiana today. Then about 5 p.m., you can see still that area, but we start seeing some more maybe in the panhandles. Colorado, New Mexico could see some showers. And then they start to die down. The area died down, but the intensity kicks up. So here at 10 o'clock tonight, the Dakotas and Minnesota, chances of some really strong storms, as you can see the purple and the red, as well as that little system there near Lexington could see some potential strong storms as well. As we go into our Saturday morning, you can see again, Salt Lake City could see a strong cell. Still some strong storms in Minnesota chances. And then here along the same areas again at Ohio Valley, down into Tennessee, Tennessee along 40 there could see some very strong storms again tomorrow morning. And then as we go to 1 p.m., the intensity kind of dies a little bit. And then as we drag it up, the area picks up again. Up here in the Dakotas, chances are going to be, I keep dragging the wrong one there, sorry. And then for Sunday, there you go. Early morning Sunday, look at that. Again, some very potential strong storms up there in the Dakotas and Minnesota, and then now it stretches into Iowa. So we got a lot of rain in some of the same areas over the weekend. Texas is dry again and hot, as we will see here. Currently about 89 degrees. And look at that red. Jeez. We do have more pockets out in the northwest that are a little cooler, but you can just see, and this is going to get worse. Cover more area as we go into Saturday. You can see the northeast a little bit there, in that rain right there in the Dakotas kind of cools things down there. But we're still in triple digits all the way up here to Kansas, Nest City, and then along the south. So we've got lots of heat again still. And then our wind gusts, we actually have no wind to speak of, really. The winds are going to be laid down for you for the entire weekend. So, again, keep hydrating. Keep watching them tires out there, drivers. Make sure that you give them a chance to cool down in this heat if you're running in these really hot areas. Hey, we're going to take a quick break and be right back with some safety.
Hi, this is David Dover, also known as Drive Safe Dave. You are watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
Safety is what you want to talk about, and safety is what you want to be every single day. That's what we're here for. We're here to make it better.
The industry needs BCB Live so that it can find new and inventive ways to bring safety to the forefront for every single person out there on the road.
You got to be prepared to stop. And when you look at that and you understand the situation that you're in, you got to know that it's going to change. You got to expect it to change, and you can't run those lights.
You can watch BCB Live weekdays, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. So what are you waiting for? Follow and subscribe to BCB Live today.
All right, welcome back to BCB Live, safest station in the nation. We have Buckle Up Bob. We haven't seen him on here for a little while. Buckle up, what's been going on with you?
Well, I did wear this in honor of the series against the Yankees, but also I was hoping Brian Winsauer was on because we just swept his beloved Cubbies, which is always a great thing in St. Louis when you can beat the Cubs. So hopefully Brian's watching. Brian, better luck next year, buddy. I know the Cubbies are not good. They're just not
they're
right
not
now.
good for certain on that. What have you been seeing out in before we get into we've been covering get out and look and those kinds of things. What have you been seeing in the industry on your asset side? I know that you come from the real trucking as a director of safety. What are some things you're seeing right now out in that market? Some things that maybe have you concerned. And I'm really talking about with say drivers.
Well, the quality of drivers and the shortages, I think one of the big things is trying to find ways that you can be creative in bringing these drivers in that may not meet certain standards, but you can still do it in a safe manner. There's ways out there. With the what I love is the technology, Rick, gives us the opportunity or gives carriers the opportunity to maybe bring a driver in a few months that really has a spotless record so far, but doesn't quite meet the years or something like that. Maybe we've got dual-facing cameras. We've got all this technology that we can say, hey, look, we'll go ahead and take a shot on this one and help the recruiting side of it because he started off. He's got a great start, and we're going to help him by the dual-facing until they reach that quiet. I love the creativity that you can be out there to get these drivers in.
Yeah, that technology, I mean, it's something that you've got to go out there and you must embrace, right?
Yes.
What about say regulation? I mean, we talked to Raquel today, and she talked about, man, it just seems in some of the drivers that she's talking to that they're just saying this industry is getting so hard to get into. What are some thoughts about that?
Yeah, California, right? AB5, I believe it is. And then it names that some of the port areas, like California, which you're going to have that supply chain issues. But then they said, I read where New York and Virginia, I think it is, are watching that very closely. And so they're kind of sitting there. I think they want to do it, but they're going to wait and see. And then you've also got Massachusetts, the East Coast, and they named one other one. Oh, New Jersey.
Jersey's always right there.
Yeah, with New York
on that. So what
and
about
that's scary?
But when we talk about bringing drivers into this market, let's just talk about the safety side of it. Well, they're also, if I decide to join into this market, now there's mandatory training that I must do as well. Mm-hmm. How long is that mandatory training taken? And that's an additional time than say it was a year ago.
Yes, basically, if you want to stay ahead and in DOT compliance, you must train every driver monthly. And so shows like this, that we use as our monthly training, and we incentivize it. But those that just can't or don't want to do it, we assign them, through third-party training where they get it every month. And it's critical. We have set up things in our Luma training to do accident reporting. That is so critical nowadays with lawsuits, to do it the right way and to get the right pictures and collect the data so that you have that to defend yourself and your drivers out there. But that's probably the biggest one is just keep that constant training. Safety, the industry now, I think, is getting there with the technology and everything. Is you have to be focused on safety. Rick, you've done it for years here, but we have to be out, and safety's got to be the forefront, because nowadays with these lawyers and these lawsuits, it just takes one. One can wipe out a small company, and I think I was reading, I want to look at it, but there are still a ton of small companies out there, trucking companies, that a bad accident just wipes them out if they don't focus on the safety first.
Yep, for certain on that. And again, some challenges of being a smaller company is that typically that owner may also be the safety person, and that may not be a good mix. When I say that, and I've said that a few times on the show, owners typically don't make good safety people, especially in that smaller size company. Bob, what are some reasons because that holds true?
Because they're worried about the profitability, the success of the company, and quite frankly, it's kind of one of those things where you just think it's never going to happen to me. Yep. You know, we see it with drivers, we see it in our society where it's just never going to happen to me. But folks, one time is all it takes, and I think that's the biggest thing with the drivers or with owners being their safety guide too. You know, it's very rare to find an owner like you that is focused on that safety first. But the other thing too is, you know, you got to have a safety guy that can take some heat occasionally, because there will be disagreements, and there should be. In all, not a lot, but there should be some. But if the safety director has their ducks in a row and has their thing, I know I can only speak through ours. You're okay as long as I can defend it and I'm convicted. You may not agree with it sometimes, but if I'm convicted about it and I have all the data and I've done due diligence, and again, the key here is, did you try to train and save that driver first? Or I've heard you say, and it's so right, and it was my mentality for many, many years, was just get enough data to say, hey, if I got to let this guy go, I'm good. Yeah. Right? And instead of focusing on what did I do to help that guy to keep him back in this industry and make him safe? Because I'm going to say, I think conservatively, 95% of the drivers out there are coachable and are retrainable out there. I think you're only talking about 5% that just don't want to, just aren't going to listen, that aren't coachable, as I like to say.
Yeah, and for those 5% that don't want to listen, that don't want to use the technology, that refuse to refuse to say get out and look, that refuse to to watch their distance between them and the vehicle in front of them, that want to go 85 miles an hour, that want to run illegal and do all this thing. There's just no place for them anymore in our industry. Our industry is tightly regulated. We all have electronic logs. When something bad happens, let me tell you something, you're not going to fool anybody.
No.
I mean, not only will your electronic log tell on you, but there's cameras everywhere anymore. There's fuel stops somewhere. Your truck. You have so many things there designed to say, this is where you were at this time. You can't lie about that anymore, Bob.
No, you sure can't, Rick. It's there. And it amazes me when I catch drivers that still think they can outsmart technology. There's some out there. And then when you catch them, they're like, okay. But most of them will come around and are coachable. But they just... I think we are programmed to just always try to get that edge, try to push it to the limit and stretch it and see what can we do that we won't get caught. And like you said, there's nothing you can do that you won't be caught. And it usually has 2 or 3 checks, if you try to drive illegally, your logs are going to tell on you, your engine's going to tell on you for not being logged in. I mean, there's just so many alerts that we get.
Yeah, for certain. Technology is amazing out there. Bob, let's hop real quick in. Let's talk. Today's Friday. What's our last subject for today for the week?
Our last subject in our Get Out and Look is just some tips, around what you can do to help improve yourself. Avoid blindsiding backing when you can. I mean, sometimes you can't, but try to do that. Get good directions. If you're at a place where you're not familiar, right? You really need to slow down, maybe even stop once you enter the property and just kind of take a minute and survey around and say, oh, this isn't going to be good, right? And if that ever kind of pops in, then you got to just kind of find a safe place to park it and go in and get some help. If it's too... This one is probably one of the biggest ones. We when we talk to drivers about accidents, when we interview them a lot, we hear a lot, well, it was tight, it was this, it was this. So they're basically giving us all these red flags, yet they kind of push through it. And so, again, it's important to understand why would they do that. A lot of it's pride, right? The carrier, or sometimes the customers will shame you into, well, all the other drivers make it.
Yes.
And they're probably lying, just to make you to go ahead and do it because they don't want to get out and help you back in. But again, if there's a red flag, stop. I don't know how many times in accident investigations when I talk to a driver and he said, well, there's nothing I could do. I said, well, what would have happened if you'd have just stopped? And then there's silence. And it's like, it's never crosses their mind to just stop. Yeah. Just stop and survey. If you ever get to the point where I thought, and that's the first words out of every driver when I ask them about an accident, well, tell me what happened. Well, I thought I had enough room, or I thought this. You got to get that mentality out, and it's got to be, I know I had enough, because then we're not having that conversation. Yeah. And then just a point to ponder in backing accidents, some numbers, right? 500 deaths, 15,000 injuries annually in backing accidents. And unfortunately, with companies I work for, I have had to deal with a couple deaths from a backing accident. So again, these are fatalities, there's no room for them. If you've ever had to do once enough. And so we've got to get to that mentality that make it personal. Nothing is worth somebody losing their life.
For sure.
Get out and look.
Get out and look. Producer, we're running out of time. Give me some videos.
All right, this one's called Patience.
Oh.
Whoa.
Wow, one at a time is usually the rule at a toll booth when it has gates on it. So
yeah, even if you've got a pass, that gate's coming down until it registers. Yes. So I'm assuming maybe that's what this driver thought was, well, I got a pass, it's up, it's going to let me through. But no.
All right.
Next video we got is called, Does This Look Too Close? Because it is.
Yeah, these are the ones that are just so frustrating, because we talk all the time. Every driver that's come through orientation says they do the Smith system. Well, you're not doing the Smith system here because you don't have the big picture. And not only that, but you are tailgating at less than barely a half a second.
All right, next video is called, Is It a Habit or Is It Just Complacency?
We're going to roll it, aren't we? Oh, we're just going to flat run it. I don't even call that a rolling. Folks, stop means stop.
And we continue to, it's just, man, these are just they're just habits that have to stop.
It is habits.
I know we're driving right now and you see up ahead, you see to your left, there's no vehicles there, but think about, in our industry, we always think about, well, the time, and time is money. All you gained was 2 seconds, 3 seconds by breaking the law and, hitting somebody. Or what if there's a police officer out there? Now you get a ticket. There's just, and you have technology that's going to tell somebody that you're running stop signs. It doesn't look good for you. And then, Bob, when we talk about these videos that we see right here, and now we have, say, an accident in which we run a red light, we get an accident in a intersection. And the plaintiff attorneys ask for all of the videos that we have on this, and it shows the same driver running through stop signs. It just doesn't look good.
No, and we can't defend them. You can't defend them on a stand when you get on there. And folks, that's the society we're in right now. This isn't about personal between us and a driver, or your company and a driver. This is about being able to protect that owner who has to get on that witness stand and defend keeping you running. And you're making it hard.
Yeah, but we also have to that driver of these vehicles, you have to realize that you've got to protect yourself.
Yes.
Because, if you show these patterns, you know what? They're not only going to go after that trucking company, there's a good chance they go after you, the driver.
Oh, yeah, and that's first and foremost. Some of the lawsuits we've seen, they get on there and say, okay, jury, or your honor, this driver's going to say he's safe, but yet we've got all this. And the company's good, and then they go after the company. The company's going to get on here and say they're safe, yet they've got all this and they kept him.
Yep.
Right? And so, folks, don't help. I like telling everybody in orientation, you have nails in your legal coffin, so to speak, that are going to bury you, and you can't remove them. Technology's there. It's all admissible in court, and we can't take those out. So help, like you said, protect yourself. Keep those nails out of the coffin lid so that we can protect you.
The beauty of these videos as well, as I'm going to tell you, is that it also shows all the good you do. So when you're stopping at these stop signs, if something were to happen, we can go back and do the same thing. Look, stop, stop, stop. He stopped at 99 out of 99 stop signs. She did the same thing. But when you run those things, when you run those stop signs, and listen, I'm going to tell you, if I'm that plaintiff attorney, and I'm saying, you know what, this person's running them, and they have technology that's going to let their boss, their supervisor, their director of safety also know it. How safe is this driver really?
Yes. Because, as you said, habits, those decision-making processes in your bad habits will creep into other areas.
Sure
you know,
will.
we used to tell the kids when you coach them, you will play how you practice. When you practice running stop signs, you're practicing unsafe decisions, and that will leak into how you do it out on the road somewhere.
All right, 3 more videos. Here we go.
This video is called "It Only Takes an Instant."
Everything looks good.
Oh,
And then
goodness.
boom, wow.
Well, you could see that too coming
Yep.
up. And
Great job by the driver. Man.
stop, stop, stop. Oh, goodness. You see the four-wheeler even following too close.
Yeah.
You know what? The four-wheeler is, distance isn't there, maybe not paying attention. The stop happens. They don't have an out either. They just jump in front of us. Thank God that the driver was doing their part.
Is that a fuel truck?
Yep, right
Oh,
there. Yeah.
man. And he would have hit him if he doesn't switch
yeah.
lanes. That four-wheeler hits him, and then, is that a police officer?
No, I think we had an accident up here. You can see like something to the right there.
Oh, and that's why everybody's checking.
Smoke, and over there, so you have the truck that stopped, you have the car that's sitting out there, and there's probably another one out there somewhere. So, yes, we had an accident, and this is why you have. That's why you have the lane. That's why you have the Smith system, right? This is why you have all of this. You protect yourself with the spacing here. You were able to even allow this four-wheeler to get in front of you because you had the proper spacing. And even your speed is at 66, 65, and at 65, so you're going the speed limit. You have great spacing. You have outs as a driver. And again, you just don't know what's going to happen out there. My goodness, thank God that, even the fuel guy appeared to be, within his lane as well.
Yeah, now you put that scenario in our first video, and that guy's in a fiery accident,
for sure.
and more than one person dies.
Yep.
Wow.
Next video. We got 2 minutes.
Here we go. This one's called "Just Back Off."
There you go. You don't know what's going to happen to this truck that you're tailgating right here, so you have to back off. Increase your space. That's what we're saying. Again, something happens in front of this truck. It's going to stop. It may stop late. It may rear end the vehicle. Are you going to do the same thing? Well, you won't if you have the right spacing. Back off. Slow it down. Get your spacing. Give me another video.
All right, last video of the day is called "No, No, No, Heck No."
No. I'm just like, oh no.
Half a second. I mean, it's just, why? Just no reason. I know you're going under the speed limit. It doesn't matter. You've got to allow yourself that space in there because you don't know what's going to happen. You can't see what's in front of you. I mean, if there's something happens to this truck in front of you or to the right, there's going to be problems. I'm just saying, just back it off another 2 seconds and you're going to be fine. You can still go 67 and not be in the bad situation. Increase your space. All right. Thank you, producer, for that. Buckle up, Bob. We got a minute. Can you close us out with a prayer?
Absolutely. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this blessed day that you've granted each and every one of us. Lord, help us all make good, safe decisions. Protect the precious life out there each and every day, each and every mile. Lord, soften the hearts of those that don't think safety first. Help the owners of other companies focus on safety and protecting life. Lord, we ask all of this in your precious Son's name. Amen.
All right, listen to me. Have a great weekend. Make today the safest day ever. We'll see you on Monday.
Go
Until
Cardinals.
then, go
Go
Cardinals.
Cardinals.
You know what? It isn't going to do any good. You can root all you want to. When you play against those dreaded Yankees,
Are you here
tend
Monday?
to lose. I will be here Monday, so we got a lunch bet.
Yeah, we'll bet lunch.
All right.
What the heck?
Lobster on Monday on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.